I always knew my sister would try to ruin me. I just never thought she'd be so proud of it. I'm Nova Quinn, 19, first in my class. Full scholarship to the most prestigious international policy program on the planet. I worked my whole life for this. Sacrificed parties, boyfriends, peace of mind. Everything. And now with just 40 hours to go before my flight to Ira, gone. My passport? Gone. Just like that. I tore my room apart. Again. Drawers flipped. Mattresses lifted. The lockbox I swore I sealed it in empty. Nova, maybe you just misplaced it, Mom called from downstairs, her voice glazed with that honey concern that never tasted sweet. You know how scatterbrained you get when you're under pressure. But I wasn't scatterbrained. I was surgical. Methodical. Everything in my life had to be or else I'd drown in the gravity of her, my sister Halo. She appeared in the doorway like clockwork, leaning against the frame with that sickeningly smug smile. Twirling a strand of golden hair like it was a crown. You know, she said, voice syrupy. Maybe this is God's way of telling you you're not meant to go. My jaw clenched. I could see her reflection in the mirror across the room. Her perfect white teeth. Her pastor's daughter innocence. Her weaponized femininity. You're not exactly international material, she added with a chuckle. On my desk, the scholarship letter lay open, bold font, gold seal, my name engraved in ink. Selected from over 6,000 applicants. I hadn't told anyone until last week. I knew what would happen when I did. And I'd been right. I earned this, I whispered, rummaging under the bed. I earned every inch of it. Halo stepped inside uninvited, brushing invisible dust from my dresser. Oh, Nova. You're so tragic. Remember your science fair project? How it accidentally caught fire the night before the expo? Or your prom dress, bleached by mistake? She placed a hand over her heart, mock sincere. You've always been so unlucky. I stood slowly. You did those things. She laughed. Don't be ridiculous. But we both knew. I knew. And she knew I knew. Nova. Dad's voice boomed from downstairs. Family meeting. Now. Halo grinned like she'd won. Our living room always felt like a courtroom. Neutral tones. Crosses on every wall. A smell of lemon cleaner and old secrets. Mom patted the couch beside her. Sit, sweetheart. I stayed standing. Let's talk about this scholarship thing, Dad said, arms crossed like a warden. Maybe it's not the right time. There's nothing to talk about, I said. I'm going. Without a passport? He smirked. Maybe it's a sign, Mom added softly, her hand clutching the same cross necklace she wore when she cried over Halo's church awards. I'm more than ready. Jealousy isn't a good look, Nova, Halo said, dabbing fake tears from her eyes. I just think it's sad. I finally get asked to lead youth ministry and now you're making up drama to steal the spotlight. I'm not making anything up. But even as I said it, I saw the look. The look Mom gave me, the quiet accusation that I was the problem. Nova, she said gently. Sometimes God closes doors for a reason. You should pray about this. And that's when something in me clicked. Not a snap. A shift. A lock disengaging. You're right, I said, nodding. They looked stunned. Maybe I should pray about it. Dad smiled. That's my girl. I need some time alone. Of course, Mom said. I'll bring you some tea. I nodded, headed for the stairs. In my room, the door clicked shut behind me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I pulled out my phone. Plan Alpha is a go. Jet replied instantly. Backup passport's ready. You sure? I looked across the yard. Halo's window lit up like a stage. She was on FaceTime, no doubt telling the world how her fragile sister was having another episode. She caught my eye. Smirked. Blew a kiss. I remembered every sabotage. Every gaslight. Every moment they praised her mediocrity and punished my brilliance. They thought they knew me. The obedient daughter. The overlooked genius. The quiet storm that would eventually settle. But they didn't know what storm I'd been building. I texted back. Absolutely sure. See you at 5 a.m. I heard Mom's steps on the stairs. Time to play the broken girl one last time. I smeared a tissue with water. Let my shoulders shake like I was crying. When she opened the door, I was already curled on the bed, the untouched tea on the nightstand. Oh, sweetie, she said. Let her believe she'd won. Let them all believe it. In less than 48 hours, they'd realize just how wrong they were about the scholarship, the girl they thought they broke, and what I was willing to do to take my future back. When the world believes you're broken, it's easy to make them look away while you rebuild into something unrecognizable. By 3 a.m., I was wide awake, Fully dressed, backpack packed, adrenaline sharp. My hands moved with eerie calm. No tremble. No fear. Only focus. Downstairs, the house slept like a beast that had feasted on my silence for years. I moved like a ghost past family portraits where halo beamed front and center and I was always blurry. Unnoticed. I left them a note on the kitchen counter, 2 words scrawled in ink. Watch me. I slipped out the back over the garden fence, ducking low between the hedges until I hit the alley. Jet's car idled at the curb like a getaway vehicle in a heist movie. He rolled down the window. You sure you want to do this? I'm done being sure. Now I'm just done. He tossed a hoodie at me. Put this on. In case someone spots you. Cameras. Neighbors. You know. Let them, I said, sliding into the passenger seat. They've ignored me for so long it might kill them to notice now. He laughed, but it wasn't the funny kind. More like the you're terrifying now and I kinda respect it kind. We drove in silence, the kind that isn't empty but loaded. At a 24-hour gas station, we switched cars, his cousins this time. A dented blue sedan with fake plates. No paper trail. Keep your phone off, Jet reminded me. I burned the SIM, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Damn, Nova. You didn't just plan an escape. You planned AF * King Coup. I didn't answer. My mind was already 10 steps ahead. By the time we hit the highway, the sky was lightning, a faint bruised purple. Sunrise over the city looked like a battlefield that hadn't started yet. I watched it with hollow satisfaction. At the airport, we parked far from the terminal. I handed Jet the envelope I prepped weeks ago, return cash, emergency backup plans, the alternate route to meet me in Ira if things went sideways. You still trust me? He asked. Trust is earned, I said. You earned it when you didn't ask me to stay. He nodded, jaw tense. You ever coming back? To that house? That life? I shook my head. No. What about revenge? He asked. I paused. That's not a question, I whispered. That's the destination. Security was a breeze. My alternate ID worked like a charm, fake name, real documents. The agent barely blinked. By the time I reached the terminal, my hands had finally started to shake. Not from fear. From freedom. I stared out at the runway. I wasn't running away. I was running through. When I landed in Ira, everything changed. The air was different. It didn't carry my family's expectations in its lungs. The cobblestone streets didn't whisper my failures back at me. And the people, God, the people, saw me before they saw what they expected me to be. The scholarship program housed us in a massive old university converted from a military archive. Iron and stone. Gothic beauty. My room was small, but it had a lock that only I held the key to. That was enough. You're Nova Quinn, right? A voice asked behind me. I turned to see a girl with a scar running down her cheek and eyes that looked like they'd seen war, probably had. Amira, she said, shaking my hand. They told me you were intense. Did they also tell you I'm a runner? Amira smiled. No. But I can see that in your eyes. Orientation was brutal. Half the cohort spoke 6 languages. The other half already had NGO experience or connections in foreign embassies. I was just a girl with scars no one could see. Until Eva spoke. Eva Cross. Program lead. Fluent in 10 languages. Former spy or so the rumors said. She stood at the front of the lecture hall commanding the room without saying a word. Then she looked straight at me. Nova, she said, you're up. I blinked. What? Your essay on asymmetrical resistance movements in digital regimes. You'll present it. Now. I should have choked. But instead I stood. Walked to the front. Took the podium. And I burned the room down. After, Eva cornered me outside. You don't talk like someone who grew up safe. I didn't, I said. Your sister's name is Halo, right? I froze. She continued. She posted a selfie yesterday in your old bedroom. Caption, sometimes the best thing you can do is pray for those who wander. My stomach twisted. Eva handed me her phone. She's live now. Crying. Talking about family betrayal. How her unstable sister stole an identity to leave the country. She tagged your school. The program. Even the embassy. She's trying to get me disqualified, I said, voice low. Eva didn't blink. She's trying to bury you in character assassination. I looked her dead in the eyes. Then I'll bury her in truth. Back in my room, I opened my secret drive. Photos. Videos. Emails. Years of proof. Halo at the passport drawer with gloves on. Her deleting emails from my acceptance letter account. Her face caught in a mirror reflection holding the bleach bottle near my prom dress. I'd saved everything. Back then it was for sanity. Now, it was for war. Jet texted from back home. She's panicking. Your parents called a lawyer. Halo's trying to play victim. They found the note you left. *T's unraveling fast. I smiled. I wasn't trying to escape anymore. I was circling back with fire. It started with a whisper. A comment thread. A repost. A question, is Halo Quinn really who she says she is? Then the video surfaced. My videos. Carefully compiled, watermarked, date-stamped. Truth packaged like a weapon unsheathed. It spread like fire through dry brush. At first, she tried to laugh it off. Oh, that's not me. Deepfakes are wild these days. But then came the screenshots. Then the audio. Then the bleach bottle with her fingerprints. I didn't watch it happen in real time. I deleted most social apps from my phone. But Eva's expression the next morning told me everything I needed to know. You lit a match, she said, tossing her tablet onto my desk. And your hometown is covered in gasoline. I glanced at the headlines. Local pastor's daughter accused of sabotaging siblings' future. Church leadership faces scrutiny over Quinn family favoritism. The black sheep who fought back. Eva studied me. You know, there's a moment in every revenge story when the hero hesitates. Where the line between justice and vengeance gets blurry. I didn't hesitate, I said flatly. She raised an eyebrow. You didn't pause when the video of Halo sobbing into a camera started circulating either. She practiced that cry in the mirror, I said. I've seen her do it. Eva leaned closer. I'm on your side, Nova. But you're playing with a live wire now. Are you going to cut it, or hold on until it burns everything? 2 days later, I got a call. Not a text. Not an email. A real call from a blocked number. I knew it was her before I answered. Nova, Halo breathed, voice tight. We need to talk. I didn't say anything. You made your point. You embarrassed me. Fine. But do you have any idea what you've done to Mom and Dad? You mean what you did to them? Her voice cracked, but I didn't believe it. They're being questioned by the church board. Dad's business lost 2 clients. People are saying God, they're saying I'm a monster. Are you? She went quiet. Then, if you come home now, if you take the videos down, maybe we can still fix this. I stared at the skyline outside my window, Ira bathed in gold. Why would I ever come home? I asked. Because you're still my sister. That hit harder than I expected. For half a second, I could hear us as kids, building blanket forts, pretending to be spies. Before she learned that the world would love her more if I stayed invisible. I hung up. That evening, Eva took me aside. You're being asked to speak again. This time publicly. Press will be present. You okay with that? Yes. You sure? She pressed. Because once you're visible, you're really visible. There's no hiding again. I'm done hiding. The press conference was held in a converted opera house. Marble pillars, velvet curtains, rows of international correspondents clutching mics like daggers. I walked on stage with my head high. The moderator introduced me, Nova Quinn. Activist. Scholar. Whistleblower. First question came fast. Nova, your sister recently claimed you orchestrated this entire scandal out of jealousy. That you always resented her spotlight. Is there truth to that? I took a breath. No, I said. But she's right about one thing. I did resent her. Not for her spotlight, she can keep the halo. I resented how no one noticed the blood it left when it slipped off my head and onto hers. Gasps. Pen scribbling. Second question, do you feel guilty for how this is impacting your family? I looked straight at the reporter. You only feel guilt when you believe you're the one who caused the damage. But I didn't cause the fire. I just stopped pretending the house wasn't burning. That night, my inbox exploded. Messages from strangers. Survivors. Siblings. People who had been made small so someone else could feel big. But among them was one that stopped me cold. From Halo Quinn. Subject, confession. You win. I'll resign from the youth board. I'll disappear for a while. I'll even admit what I did, just please don't speak again. Don't do the next interview. Don't speak at the summit. Attached was a video. A draft. Her on camera, raw, unfiltered. I stole my sister's passport. I sabotaged her future. I lied to my parents. I lied to the church. I read it again. And again. Eva stepped in. This changes everything. No, I said. It doesn't. She tilted her head. You're not satisfied? This isn't about satisfaction. It's about exposure. Truth should never need permission to breathe. I watched the video of my mother again and again. Her voice was soft, practiced, the kind she used when explaining away bruises that weren't physical. Nova always wanted more than what we could give. It wasn't enough to love her. She had to be seen. And then, almost too quiet to catch. We warned her what happens to girls who think they're bigger than the plan God made for them. Eva sat beside me, laptop open, unread messages stacking like dominoes. She's not just defending Halo, Eva said. She's blaming you for being different. I laughed. Dry. Bitter. That's what love looks like in our house. A mirror they shatter every time it reflects something they don't recognize. Eva shut the laptop. You're not required to answer this. You don't owe them a response. You've already won the court of public opinion. This was never about opinion. Then what's it about now? I paused and said the truth, even if it scared me. Justice became survival. And somewhere along the way, survival became vengeance. Back home, the fire kept spreading. Halo's confession leaked intentionally or not, I couldn't tell. The church suspended her. Youth leadership revoked her title. Her Facegram following plummeted by half in one day. But the worst wasn't her silence. It was Dad's. He hadn't called, texted, posted, until he did. A single email forwarded by Eva. Subject, your sister may be unstable, but this circus you've created is cruel. Body. I hope the attention is worth it, Nova. I hope your new friends are applauding loud enough to drown out the cost. Your mother can't leave the house. Halo's in therapy. I lost my biggest client today. But congratulations. You're famous. That email didn't break me. It confirmed something I'd always suspected. They didn't care that Halo lied, sabotaged, manipulated. They only cared that she got caught. I walked out of the residence that night with only one destination in mind. A bar tucked between the old university and a forgotten cathedral. No cameras. No questions. Just dim lights and anonymity. Amira was already there, sipping dark wine like it owed her rent. You look like you just walked out of your own funeral, she said. Close, I muttered. Just burned down the church they buried me in. She slid a glass toward me. What are you going to do with the rest of the ashes? I drank too much. Not enough to forget. Just enough to blur the memories I couldn't stop replaying. Halo smiling as she poured bleach into my laundry. Mom praying over me with hands that shook from judgment, not compassion. Dad telling me at 15 that ambition was pride in disguise. By the time I stumbled back to the residence, it was nearly 2 a.m. And Eva was waiting on the steps like a ghost of war. You sent something, she said, voice tight. Without telling me. I froze. What do you mean? She held up her phone. The screen showed a scheduled post. A countdown timer, 6 hours left. A bomb I didn't remember setting. The final archive. The Halo files. Full footage. All of it. Years of Halo's manipulation. Audio of her mocking church elders. Screenshots of her texts bragging about fixing my future. The original police report I filed the year she accidentally broke my hand. I didn't send that, I said. At least I don't remember sending it. Eva narrowed her eyes. You scheduled it after the second drink. When you said, and I quote, if they want a saint, I'll show them the devil. I laughed. Then covered my mouth. Because it wasn't funny. Not really. Should I cancel it? She asked. I looked at the screen. 5 hours, 53 minutes left. Then I looked past her toward the stars above the courtyard. No, I said. Let it go out. Back in my room, I sat in silence. No phone. No distractions. Just one old notebook. The one I kept hidden for years. Inside were dreams I no longer recognized. Graduate summa cum laude. Make Dad proud. Let Mom finally call me her light. Forgive Halo, even if she never says sorry. I ripped out every page that didn't belong anymore. One by one. Until only blank ones remained. Then on the first new page I wrote. I am not a villain for refusing to stay small. 5:01 a.m. The post went live. My phone exploded. Eva texted, it's done. Jet sent a fire emoji. Amira just said, about time. Within 20 minutes, Halo was trending again. This time not as a tragic sister, but as a calculated abuser. The church issued a public statement. The school revoked her alumni ambassador status. One of her youth group kids reposted the video with a simple caption, "This is who taught us morality?" But the worst message came from Mom. No greeting. No pretense. Just, your grandmother saw it. She's heartbroken. I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied? I sat with that word. Satisfied is for people who order justice off a menu and got exactly what they asked for. What I felt was clean. Like I'd finally washed off a version of myself they spent 19 years trying to paint over. They landed in Ira on a Tuesday. Dad, stiff and silent. Mom, holding her Bible like a shield. Halo, dressed in white because of course she was. The Global Reconciliation Summit had extended an invitation to reunite publicly estranged families. PR stunt. Optics. I never agreed to their appearance. But I didn't stop it either. Because now, I wanted witnesses. Eva briefed me behind the curtains of the grand hall. They'll be seated in the third row. Cameras are focused. Press is here. Anything you say will be live streamed. No filters. No edits. Perfect, I said, smoothing the front of my suit. Not a dress. Not a soft blouse. A tailored indigo suit, sharp enough to slice. Last chance to soften the message she offered. I met her eyes. They didn't raise me for soft. The stage lights blinded, but I could feel them. Their presence like heat. Heavy and nauseating. Mom's nervous smile. Dad's clenched jaw. Halo, trying to look redeemed. I stepped to the podium and exhaled everything I'd been holding for 19 years. I was born into a house of mirrors, I began. Reflections warped by favoritism, faith used as a leash, and love shaped like a cage. I heard someone in the front row shift. Probably Mom. For years I believed I was broken. Difficult. Unworthy of affection unless I shrank myself small enough to fit the version of me they needed. I paused. The silence in the hall buzzed with tension. Until one day I realized the truth. I was never broken. I was just unwanted in their narrative. And that wasn't my failure. That was their design. A gasp. Somewhere to my right. I am not here to beg for forgiveness. I am not here to fake reconciliation. I am here to tell every person watching that surviving your family does not make you a traitor. It makes you free. The applause built like thunder, slow and rising. I didn't look at them. Not yet. Not until the next question came. A reporter stood. Nova, the world has watched this family saga unfold. Some wonder, do you still consider them your family? I turned. Met their eyes. Each one. Dad. Stone. Mom. Pale. Halo. On the verge of tears, but I'd seen that trick before. No, I said simply. I don't. Another reporter. What about forgiveness? Forgiveness, I echoed. Isn't erasure. It's clarity. And I see them now clearly. What they did wasn't love. It was containment. And I outgrew their prison. They left the hall before the closing remarks. Halo's white jacket trailed behind her like smoke. Backstage, Eva hugged me. You just gave thousands of people permission to stop apologizing for surviving. That was the point. She checked her tablet. The UN's Youth Diplomacy Initiative wants you to lead a new subcommittee. I blinked. Me? After that? They'd be fools not to. Later that night, I wandered Ira's narrow streets. Alone. No press. No handlers. Just cobblestone under my boots and the sound of my own steps. I stopped at a fountain and sat down. It was the same spot I'd cried in 3 months ago, terrified and alone. Now I wasn't either. Jet called. You did it, he said. I did something. They're spiraling back home, he added. Church board voted them out. Halo's youth license revoked permanently. Mom tried a Facebook Live prayer session. No one watched. I smiled. Poetic. You okay? I paused. I'm not angry anymore, I said. And that scares me a little. Why? Because if I'm not driven by rage, who am I? You're Nova. You've always been more than the fire. A week later, I received a letter. Handwritten. Shaky pen strokes. From Halo. I lied. I manipulated. I sabotaged you because I thought if you shined I'd disappear. But I was wrong. You rising didn't make me less. I did that all by myself. I'm sorry. Not for PR. Not for Mom. For me. I don't expect forgiveness. Just, maybe one day peace. I folded the letter, slid it into a drawer. Didn't reply. Let her live with silence the way I had. At the end of term gala, Eva handed me a crystal plaque. Rising Global Leader. Nova Quinn for dismantling systems of silence. I held it in both hands. Not because it was heavy, but because it was mine. Not stolen. Not sabotaged. Earned. Final scene. The camera pans across the Geneva summit. I'm walking into the assembly floor. Suit crisp. Shoulders high. A delegate leans over to the Secretary General. Is that the girl with the sister scandal? He replies without looking up. No. That's the woman who rewrote the story. Final line voiceover. Sometimes revenge looks like exposure. Sometimes it looks like justice. But the best kind? It looks like becoming so unstoppable they're forced to watch in silence. And realize. You were never the villain. They just feared the day you'd stop playing small.